What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of the Sheehan Show with me, Sean Sheehan, here on Sherdog.com. Today I'm back with my best bets for the week in the world of mixed martial arts. And you know what? It's a little bit of a different show this week because we obviously have the massive PFL extravaganza, I'm going to call it, with the they have an undercard first, then they have the PFL MENA finale, and then they have the PFL Global finale. So there's a bucket load of 5-round fights, a bucket load of title fights, and even, you know, on that those showcase fights, there's some pretty good ones as well. So what I have for you today is, instead of 5 best bets, I have your 10 best bets, 10 best bets of the week for PFL Global MENA Showcase Extravaganza Finale. I'm not going to give a flyer this week, but my first one is kind of a flyer, but yes, 10 bets for this week, 10 bets for this week. So we'll get to that in a second. Before we do get to that, let's, as always, have a look back on last week, and it's getting towards the end of the year now, so we're nearly there. And you know what? We had another good week last week, to be honest. We had 3 bets hit, which I was happy enough about. As always, the flyer didn't hit, and, you know, I can't get any luck with the flyers this year. I had good luck with the flyers last year, but this year I'm just writing it off. I'm just hoping January 1st. So the flyer this was Ulberg to win round 1 knockout. I could probably do a whole podcast on that fight alone. I was very interested in that fight. I looked at it a lot differently to a lot of people. I think I thought it was a more competitive, maybe, and I wasn't scoring it, which I usually do. I was kind of just watching it from maybe a tactical point of view more so than usual. But Ulberg did, it's not that he didn't do well. I thought Hudsonmere did very, very well as well. And, you know, that's the reason, I suppose, why it didn't stop in the first round. So good performance by both lads, but unfortunately for our bet, that didn't hit. And then we had a parlay. Our parlay was minus 219, so it wasn't exactly the biggest parlay in the world, but it was Lonnie Kavanagh and Wang Kong. Obviously, Wang Kong, one of the biggest upsets in the history of the UFC. Lonnie Kavanagh did get the win, all right, so that didn't hit. But the 3 that did hit, Perian by decision, plus 123. He was obviously a big favourite. He dominated the fight. So to get someone who dominated the fight and won maybe that easily at plus 123, is not a bad bet. I'll take that any day of the week. And then we had Yan Zhounan, who also dominated minus 190. I thought that minus 190 was a bit favourable last week, and I think I was right on that. I think she was, again, one of those fights, I think, that maybe it looked closer than it was. I think she dominated. And then Muslim Salikov at minus 180. Again, I had a big, I had a big opinion on that one, and I thought he would win. And in fact, I called it. I don't know what I said in the show last week. Maybe I did. I definitely tweeted anyway that he'd win by wheel kick, and that's exactly what he did at minus 180. So not the biggest prices in the world last week, but we 3 winners, 1 plus money, and we've a lot of plus money bets. A lot of plus money. Is there? Let me just look. 1, 2, 3. So 4 and 6 in terms of the plus money. Well, one's kind of even. So, but we have, especially the first one, some good bets for this week. So the overall. We went 3 and 4 last week, 94 of 175, which is pretty good, to be honest. To give out 94 winning bets in the year, I will take that any year. As I said, we're trying to get to the 100. We've only a couple left. Hopefully we get to the 100 this week. We've 10 bets, so I've got to help myself here a bit. Let's be honest, but and still only 3 flyers of it. Still only 3 flyers, but we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that maybe at the end of the year, and I'll have to get that end of the year. But actually, let me know in the comment section below as well. I'll be looking ahead to next year. Best bets for next year. I know a few different websites do them. I'm going to have a look at that, and obviously it'll be probably be in early January, maybe before I do that, maybe a quiet week. But we'll look ahead for the bets for next year, and we'll definitely have a show on that. But for this week, it is to the PFL, and I'm going to start off with the main event. And when I saw this price come out, I was very, very shocked, because I looked at it. Came out a couple of days ago. It was Brendan. So my first bet, Brendan Loughnane plus 250 to win over Timur Hizriev. I saw it plus 240, and then I looked at it on Best Fight Odds, and it set it up on the plus 124 before that, and I think a lot of people on the other side of the line bet on Hizriev, so it bounced up to plus 240, and I thought it would go down again. Now it went down a little bit, but it's bounced back up now, and it's plus 250 in most places here, and I'm going to take it. I think that price is too much. I spoke during the week on my previous show. If you haven't seen it, please check it out. And I think if memory serves me correct, the betting odds were out at that stage. It was a couple of days since I recorded it now. But on the fight itself, watching both of these lads, analysing it, doing the breakdown for it, going back and watching them. Obviously, I've known Loughnane for a very, very long time, watched and analysed probably the last 6 or 7 of his Riev's fights. I think it's a way more interesting matchup than maybe definitely than these betting odds give it favour for, and that some people I think will give it favour for as well. I think Riev is a guy who is really, really good at certain areas, but he also can be found wanting, I think, in certain areas. Now, that's a tough thing to say for a guy who's 17-0. You know, he can be found wanting and he's never lost, you know. But, you know, at some stage, most people have never lost, you know. Or, you know, we see a lot of people go to 10-0 or, you know, 12-0, and then they eventually do lose. Look, you know, Ian Gary's fighting against Shavkat in a couple of weeks. They're both, what are they, both 17-0, is it, or something like that? So one of them is going to have to lose. One of them is going to have to, you know, find an area where they can beat the other one. So it happens at some stage. For me, I think with Riev, there are two things. I think, first of all, his wrestling is so good, but there's a way to beat the wrestling. Like, if you watch his fights and watch how some people deal with his wrestling, I suppose the Braga fight was the standout one, and obviously that went to a split decision, but other fights as well. He has this, you know, the Dagestani fighting style of, you know, go in on the knees, cover distance across the cage, wrap that arm around the waist, and get lads down, you know. He's really, really good at that. But the elixir to that, as we saw in the fight, a couple of fights I just mentioned, is the overhook. And Loughnane is very, very good at, you know, your old school sprawl and brawl, chocolate L type of fighting. Loughnane does that probably as well as anyone in the PFL, or maybe outside of it even. Like, that is his style. So, and it's his style because it has to be his style, because, you know, he's such a good striker that everyone's going to wrestle with him. Now, I think if he can stop that, he is on his way to winning this fight, because he has big power, really good on the feet. Like, Riev has improved on the feet, but like, if you look back at 4 or 5 fights ago, Riev he wasn't throwing in combos. He was throwing one punches. He didn't have the leg kick like he has today. Now, he has added those things. He definitely throws more in combos. But if Loughnane can get him panicking a little bit, stop a takedown, you know, get that overhook, get him throwing in single shots and countering them, he absolutely can win this fight. And honestly, I don't think Loughnane will stop every takedown, but I don't think Riev will get every takedown either. And if you get a point to where Riev fails on 2 to 3 takedowns, Loughnane gets that overhook on 2 to 3 takedowns, I think he is in with a massive chance here, and there's a real chance. Now, like, the one thing you look at, obviously, with a guy who's 17-0 as well, going into a 5-round fight, has he been that distance before? But he has been to decisions 13 times. You know, he only won 5-rounder, but still, you know, he is a guy who kind of goes long in a lot of his fights. Loughnane has had 16 decisions in his career. You know, he's been to the has he been to the, I don't think he's been to the 5th round, but he's been to the 4th round, and obviously he's been to the 3rd round and along a lot as well. So very, you know, very similar, very similar in terms of that. So I don't think there is a break in that there anywhere. I just fancy Loughnane. I really do. I think, like, as I said on the previous show, coming into my analysis, I was thinking, right, I'll have a look at 1 or 2 things. Maybe I can pick out 1 or 2 things, but I'm more than likely picking Riev because he has been so impressive to me this year and before as well. But I think I don't want to lie to myself, right? This is what I believe. I believe Loughnane ability is a bad matchup for Riev's ability. Now that's all goes out the door if he can get a couple of takedowns, and especially early, and if he can keep getting them, then it's a different game. But I'm going to bet on Loughnane's takedown defense. I'm going to bet on that overhook, and I'm going to bet plus 250 Brendan Loughnane to win that fight against Seymour Riev. The next bet I'm going for is going for number 2, Shamil Musaev at minus 166. Again, at this price, I was shocked that he was this price, considering how he's performed this year. Although I was shocked initially, and then I remembered his last fight. And then I was like, okay, that does make, that does make a little bit more sense. And what am I talking about when I talk about the last fight? So he fought, in his last 2 fights, he fought Murad Ramazanov. The last fight, not an amazing fight from both of them. It was one of those fights where, Ramazanov did well to come back after getting knocked out so viciously the first time. And, I feel like Musaev maybe found it a little bit hard to get up for that fight. So it turned into a bit of an odd affair, all told. But this one is going to be a lot different. He's coming in here against another guy who is undefeated, who is really, really, really talented, and is going to be, a very, very hard fight for him. Now, as I say, minus 166. This price has been moving over the last couple of days. You'll be lucky actually to get minus 166 now. Maybe I'll adjust it here. It's still up here as the best price, but some places actually have him out as far as minus 222 here. So look, we'll move out. I'll write down the price I have written down here. I'll move it out a little bit. I'll go to 196. Sorry, I have an awful bed back here. I'll move it to minus 196. But we have. I still think it's a good bet at that price. And the reason I think it's a good bet at that price is the people have come in and now, obviously the sharp bettors have come in and they know that the minus 166 was too good. But the reason they know that is because of how good Musaev is, right? And his ability to destroy Ramazanov like he did, the way he kind of took in Logan Storley and beat him the way he did, it was phenomenal. Now, Umalatov is a very, very, very good fighter as well. Make no mistake about that whatsoever. He has a really good jab, a very good counter fighter, but he can also kind of push forward, take the initiative as well. And he's definitely the more technical striker, but Musaev is beastly power, better athlete. He answers calls very well. So in the Logan Storley fight, he was pushed back and pushed back and pushed back. But fought out of it and ended up finishing him and kind of using that pressure against Logan Storley almost. Also, I mentioned in the preview shows that I think Umalatov will probably try to push forward against him, even though he does counter an awful lot. And the reason I think he will do that is because of what Logan Storley did. But the problem there is you almost have to fool yourself into forgetting the second part of it, where Logan Storley got destroyed. And I think that'll probably happen again if anyone does it to Musaev. I think Musaev is one of the best welterweights in the world. Now, I think Umalatov is as well. And he definitely has ways to win the fight. Like, if Musaev turns up and he fights the way he did in his last fight, he will 100% lose. 100% be beaten by Umalatov. But I think he's so much better than that. I think the power will tell as well. Like, you look at Umalatov's record and, he has a lot of knockouts, in his record, but like 3 of his last 4 fights have been decisions. He's had 4 altogether. So when he gets at a different level, he's not finishing lads like he was before. Whereas Musaev, as we know, obviously he's now, the last fight was a decision, but all the ones before that, he knocked the same guy out before that, knocked out Logan Storley, and many before that as well. I think the power is going to tell. I think he's going to land power shots, and I think Musaev is going to win. And that price will probably keep on moving over the next couple of days, but I'll probably like it as big as it gets nearly. So I think Musaev will win that fight. Bet number 3, simple enough one here. This is from PFL Mina. I'm going for Ali Taleb. He's fighting Rashid Alhaz. Two good fighters, no doubt about it. Rashid has been around for a good long time. He's good power, good wrestler, very good entries as well. He wants to be on top, and his striking isn't bad. But I think Ali Taleb is a special guy. He's only lost 1 fight in his career, and that was in to one of the best guys in the world last year in the PFL Europe. And I think, no disrespect to Rashid Haz or anything like that, but I think his level is not anywhere near the level of that. And I think, the way Taleb fights, they switching stances, loads of fakes and feints, power, good movement, very hard jab, great cardio, great chin, just a tough all-around guy. He trains under Akira Kurosani, as I always mention. I think this guy is as legit as they come. I wouldn't at all be surprised if he's in the PFL Global, if not next year, the year after. And I think this is I don't know if I said it at the start or not, but my favorite two bets are my first bet here and the last bet here. But this is probably up there as well. I couldn't get over this price, minus 205. Let me just check here. Is this the same price now? It's actually moved out a tad as well, but you can still get a one place of minus 205. I think a lot of these bets, the smart bettors coming in are going to adjust the prices, but I do think Taleb should be a big favorite there anyway, and I'm sticking with it at that price. Right. Bet number 4. Again, this is plus money and a bit of an outsider bet. I hadn't watched a whole lot of this guy beforehand, but I had watched a good bit of his opponent, so I'm going for George Ade. It's George Ade, sorry. He is plus 205. And he's fighting Moshin Mohamed Al Safi. And let me just check that price now, make sure it's the same. Actually, it's gone in a bit as well, but so you'll find it up as plus 175 here in one place. Let me just look at the other places as well. Yeah, open up one plus 205. Plus 195 actually you can get it as well. So I'll hold on to that. The price I have it there could adjust again. But as I said, the bets this week are kind of just money line bets. I think these lads will win type of thing. And this is a good plus money bet if you want to go for it. So Mohamed Al Shafi, or Mohamed Shafi, first of all, he's 6-1. He lost his first fight in 2019, but then he had a couple of years off and he came back and he's looked good since. And this guy's a beast. Obviously, he reminds me of a young Hector Lombard, big power puncher with big muscle and good kicker and everything like that. But his opponent, George Ade, he's a very good kickboxer. I believe he fought to a pretty high level in kickboxing, and his takedown defense is improved. Everything seems to be on point for him, I think. Great movement, hard to take down. And I just think the difference between the two of these guys is George Ade has 15 fights. He's 34 years of age. As I said, a lot of outside of MMA experience as well. Mohamed Shafi is 35 and he's only had 7 fights. I think that experience is going to tell for George Ade. I think he's a better technical fighter. I think he knows what to do more in there. I think Mohamed Shafi relies on his athleticism. I don't think he's fought to the level that he is. Now, Tahiri's a good fighter that he beat the last time, and that was a relatively close fight. Went to decision. I think if he fights similarly in this one, I think George Ade should win it. I think that price is crazy. If you're getting that up anywhere over plus 150, I have it down, as I said, plus 105. It's, as I said, plus 175, plus 195 in some places still. I think that's a great price. So George Ade, definitely the bet there. I think he's going to beat him up on the feet and win that fight. Right, next bet is Slim Trabelsi. And this is a price that has changed in the other way. So I had him at minus 195. He's actually into minus 115 now. So very, very interesting that this one has moved in. I think the reason for that is because Slim hasn't maybe fought at the level of his opponent Brambley yet. This is on the kind of the undercard as well. This is at heavyweight. Abraham Babley. I pronounced both of his names wrong. He's a very good heavyweight as well. He's only 28. He's 5-0. He's fought on a couple of the PFL and Bellator cards as well, and he's beaten some guys of note and knocked 3 of them out and gone to decision a couple of times. But Slim Trabelsi is a really, really, really good fighter, great grappler. Obviously, I forgot to look it up again, but someone remind you in the comment section below. This guy was a top level, I believe, judoka. Again, I'm making the same mistake I made in the previous show. I forgot to look it up twice, but I've known him since his young days because he fought one of the Irish heavyweights, Ryan Spillane, who was a very highly thought of heavyweight as well. And I'm sure Ryan's not fighting at the moment, but I'm sure he'll be back again. But the two of them couldn't get fights when they were young. Slim went 2 years without getting a fight. And, the pandemic was issues with that as well. But he went in there and he beat Ryan Spillane. He's won every fight since. Beat Louis Sutherland as well with a decision, and he needed 15 minutes in his career. This guy's wrestling, his grappling is so good. He has power. I really fancy him in this fight. I like him an awful lot. This is the toughest fight either of them have ever had, I would garner as saying. I think it's going to be a very, very interesting fight. As my phone starts going off here, how unprofessional to leave the phone on Buzzy in the middle of a podcast. How dare they? It's Graham Severe Mays is messing me there, so I can send abuse to him. But I like Trabelsi in this one. I think the grappling is going to be a bit too much. I think haven't watched Babley. Babley can do a bit of everything. I think He, as I said, he's a few knockouts in his career, his power, but he can wrestle and he can grapple and all as well. I just don't think he has met someone like Trabelsi before, and it's going to be a tough night for him. So there you go. That is bet number 5. So we have 5 more to go. I'm going to go for, and this is a bit of a wild one. Do you know what I'm going to guess? I had Dakota Ditcheva at minus. Let me just look at it here again. Minus 280. And this was last night, so let's see what price it is today. This is we're doing this live. Oh, it's gone out actually. It's gone out. So I had what did I say? I had it's minus 280. It's gone out. She's around minus 300 now in some places. It's that might be a bit too far for me, to be honest. I do think Dakota Ditcheva will win. There's one place here who has a minus 375. Now you'd never bet her at that price, but I think anywhere around the minus 280, I don't think the minus 300 even. I think that's a bit big, to be honest. But I'll stick with Dakota Ditcheva at minus 280 here. The price I have it, and it is here in one place. And honestly, I'm betting on ability here. I'm betting on, you look at a prospect, you look at quality, you've seen someone fighting for a long while and you think, can they be caught here, here, or here? And she's never been caught there yet, right? Now, this is by far, we talk about biggest test of her career. This is by far the biggest test of her career by a country mile. You know, I talked about Talia Santos in the build-up podcast, and you know how good she is in the clinch. If Dakota Ditcheva gets caught in the clinch and gets taken down, she has in for a real bad time. Now, Dakota's not bad on the ground at all, and I'm sure, actually, I think if Santos does take her down, I don't think that's fight over by any means. I think Dakota Ditcheva can get back up, but the problem is, I think if it repeatedly gets taken down, we'll see how Dakota can deal with the outside game of Santos. And what I mean by the outside game of Santos is how Santos does nothing on the outside when she's fighting against someone like Ditcheva, who's that talented, which is very, very smart. She bides her time. But I think Ditcheva is so long and so big and so talented, very good at breaking that distance, great jab, you know, great straight shot, which is exactly what you need. I just think she's the best. I think she's good enough, and I think she'd beat Talia Santos. And there's an article, I believe, up in Sherdog, saying like she could become one of the biggest stars in women's MMA at the weekend, and I think that's absolutely correct. You know, I think that's absolutely correct. If she wins this fight, it's gangbusters for her, so I'm looking forward to seeing that one. And I think, beware the price a little bit, because look, Talia Santos is a live dog in that fight, and make no mistake about it. But I do like Ditcheva to win it. Next one I'm going for is Impa Kasanganay against Dulcin Yashimordov. And the reason I've gone for this is watching back a bit of the Corey Anderson fight. You look at like Yashimordov, right, and you look at his ability and how good he has looked over the last while, and the improvements he has made. But the only drawback I would say about him is that, and when I say about the improvements he's made, I mean since the Corey Anderson fight, you know, where he was really, you know, I don't like to use the word shown up. That's a bit irreverent maybe, but he, you know, the best part of, or the worst part of his game were kind of outed a lot in that fight. Now, he fought some good guys since then. No, don't get me wrong. Like Magic Rosansky's a good fighter, and Dai and Bayong and Wilkinson are all good fighters. But I don't think any of them maybe have the ability to unfurl those issues that Corey Anderson showed in him. And to an extent, Carl Albrechtsen as well, who, you know, and you add the Albrechtsen and Anderson fights together, and you almost have a Kasanganay type fighter who can beat you on the feet and beat you on the ground as well. And I think Kasanganay will be very smart. We'll have a look back at that Anderson fight, and I think he'll try to attack with wrestling. I talked about it at the weekend, or in the preview, so should I say. And I was talking mostly about, you know, Yashimordov going for the wrestling and maybe getting beaten on the feet by Kasanganay. But, you know, on second thought as well, I think that can happen. But I think Kasanganay can also win on the ground. And that's a big part of why I'm going for him here in the betting sector, should we say. I think it's a very, very good price. He's still around that price here as I look at it now. I think he can beat him in all areas, really. And I think for the other side of it, right? So Impa can beat him in all areas. Can Yashimurdov beat Impa in all areas? I'm not so sure. Like, he can hit hard, but I don't think he's going to out Impa Kasanganay on the feet. He can definitely beat him on the ground, all right, but I think Impa can beat him on the ground too. So the balance of probability, I think Impa wins the fight, and I think he'll look good doing it too. I think he will look good doing it. Right, last couple of bets here. We have 3 more left. The standout one of the standout bets for me from the PFL Mina card was without a shadow of a doubt, and this price has actually gotten a bit better as well. Alhyasat against Al-Qatani. He's actually into minus 110 now. I was looking at a minus 130 yesterday. Obviously, this is a fight that we have seen before. Alhyasat is 5-0. Al-Qatani is 9-2, and they fought back in September this year. I watched back that fight, and I think people will remember that fight as being close. I actually don't think it was as close as it was. I haven't watched it back. Alhyasat landed the bigger shots. It's the type of fight, I think, when you watch it back, or there was a highlight package as well. I was watching a bit of that of it. You're almost shocked that he didn't get the finish at times, because he hit him with some big shots. That was only in September as well. Those things take a bit of time to recover from. And again, you have a guy who's a little bit older, 11 fights into his career, has been around for a good long time, has been fighting since 2018 against a guy who made his debut in February 2023. It's very rare that a younger up-and-comer guy beats a guy who's been around for 5 or 6 years and then loses to him the second time. I think he showed he was a better fighter in that first fight. I think he showed he's a very, very good fighter, and I think he will show that again. I think he'll win this fight, and I think he might even get the finish here. Now the prices aren't out for that yet. As I said here, we're going out for all the money line straight up wins here. But I really like Abdalrahman Alhyasat to get the win over here. Very surprised. This to me is the most shocking price, I think. Loughnane's price is a little bit shocking as well. But when I saw it, what did I have it at? Minus 130. Now it's into minus 110. I'm really not sure. Maybe they think it was a robbery or something in the first fight. I don't necessarily think that. So I'm definitely going for that here. Right, second last bet I'm going for Asael Adjoudj against Jose Perez. Asael at minus 180. Again, I think that's a pretty good price. Let me just see if there's any movement on it as well. Actually, there is. He's into minus 166. He's into minus 166 there. I love the way I'm taking the better prices and just leaving the bad ones behind. So we all like to fluff it a little bit. But anyway, you could see. Anyone wants to see any of the prices or anything, let me know, and I can send them on to you. But I think I think Perez is one of those guys, 9-1, who I don't think he has the power to hurt Asael Adjoudj. And let me just look here. Yeah, actually funny, I hadn't seen this before. He's never knocked anyone out. So he's in 10 fights. He's 4 submissions, and he's from watching him, he's good on the ground. He's fought in CFFC, a lot of experience, and fought some good guys there as well. I think and John Perez to me looks like a guy who's fighting at a good level and is going to continue to fight at that good level for a very, very long time. I think for Asael Adjoudj, I think he's fighting at a very good level, and he's going to improve that level all the time. You even saw him last time out. He got a big finish, something he's been looking for a while. Obviously, he had 3 decisions in a row. He beat Liam McCracken as well, who's up for one of the fights of the year this year. Some of those wins that he's had are looking better and better all the time as well. I think Asael on the feet is just going to be too much for Perez. I think the power as well. Asael's only 3 knockouts in his career so far, as I said, but I think more will come. I spoke to Peter Queally about him before, and he told me he was the top guy coming through in SBG, and he looks a real prospect. I was actually speaking to Big John McCarthy about him before, and he rates him very, very highly as well. So this is a guy who is very highly thought of, only 25 years of age, and I think this is the type of fight to take him to the next level. Love that price as well at minus 166. And the last bet of our 10. This is my favorite price of them all, and I hope this doesn't change. So let's check again before we give it to you here. It is it's around the same, yeah. So Oleg Popov Round even money, plus 102. I see him one place here, he's minus 108. So it has adjusted a little bit, but not too much. I was shocked. And in most places, he's still the underdog. I was shocked when I saw he was the underdog. I really, really couldn't believe he was the underdog. He's fighting Denis Goltsov. Now, Denis Goltsov has been probably one of the most consistent guys in the PFL heavyweight division over the last while, but, consistently great until the finale and then loses the finale. 34 years of age now. Popov is 32, but he's a younger 32, if you want to put it that way. If that makes any sense. I just think he's Goltsov is a good all-round fighter, as is Popov. But if you're to ask who's striking is better, I think Popov is an odd type of striker, especially for a heavyweight. But I would go as far as to say his is better. And whose wrestling is better? Goltsov's wrestling has become better and better and better all the time. He took down Hina Fahey in the first round, and almost had him beaten until he got up and got knocked out in that fight last year. But I think Popov's is so good. I think he's really strong. He's really good on top. This is a guy who is at pains to get into a fight where he isn't dominating guys. He is a beast on top. And I think if you're Goltsov, you're going to have a real problem taking this guy down, a real problem getting on top of this guy, and a real problem not being put on your arse yourself and beaten by a guy like Popov. I think this is... when I looked at this, I was expecting Popov to be minus 250 maybe. When I saw he was, I think the first price I saw he was plus 120, but around even money now, I think it's crazy. I think Popov, as I said, this is my favorite bet for the week. I think Popov is going to win this fight. I think he's a very, very good heavyweight. And at that price, it has to be taken. So those are the 10 bets for the week. Let me recap them again very quickly here. I'm going for Loughnane plus 250, Musaev minus 196, minus 205, sorry. Ali Taleb, George 8 at plus 205, minus 115 for Trabelsi, minus 280 for Ditcheva, Kasanganay minus 130, minus 110 for Alhyasat, Asael Adjoudj at minus 166, and Oleg Popov at plus 102. All right, everybody, thank you very much for tuning in. Please bet responsibly. Leave your bet for the week in the comment section below. And until then, I'll see you all next week. Good luck.